Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. It's your favorite Teletubby here, back at it again to drop what if Naruto had the gravity fruit, or what if Naruto was Fujitoras' reincarnation, which, in case you don't know, is pretty much just a really overpowered character from One Piece who happens to be a blind swordsman and has some busted gravity powers. So you don't even gotta watch One Piece to like this video, just saying for the, small minority of you guys that haven't seen it. But yeah, today's like goal is gonna be 1,000 likes, so once you guys hit that, I'll be sure to drop part 2. That said, enjoy. All right. So this specific story is going to be implementing 3 changes. Now, these are going to be massive. 1, Naruto is going to be the reincarnation of Fujitora. Number 2, Naruto is going to be having a devil fruit, the only devil fruit in the series, might I add. And number 3, which is where we're going to start this entire story off, Naruto is going to be adopted by Mikoto Uchiha. Now, for most of you guys who probably don't know this information, in the original story of Naruto, Mikoto was actually trying to adopt Naruto, but unfortunately, she wasn't allowed to do it because they didn't want the Uchiha to have access to the nine-tailed fox, all thanks to, I want to say Danzo, but it also could have been a mix of the council and Hiruzen and Danzo, so it really could have been anybody. And so this really is a huge change that we're going to be implementing, where in this specific timeline, Naruto is going to be adopted by the family, and he's going to be growing up raised as Sasuke's brother. Now, obviously they're not exactly going to be able to say, hey, this is your blood brother, because Naruto's hair is literally blonde. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things where Naruto does not fit in the family, but ultimately Naruto would actually be treated like he is. And what's interesting is that Fugaku would actually this time around pour a lot of time into training both the boys, both Sasuke and Naruto, due to the fact that Naruto is literally the nine-tailed Jinchuriki, and in this timeline of events, that's going to become a massive deal for Fugaku once we get to the Uchiha coup d'etat section of the story. But unlike the original, in this specific timeline, what's going to be pretty much happening for Naruto's upbringing, I'm not sure how old Sasuke was during the Uchiha massacre, let's go 7 to 8. From that age range, maybe 6 to 8, that's around the time that the Uchiha massacre happened. So Naruto and Sasuke are both going to be growing up together. They're playing together a lot. Like, it just becomes one of those things where it's like, bro, that's your brother. Like, you have no choice but to play with them. And because it's your brother and you spend so much time with them, it's pretty much inevitable for them to become like your best friend. Obviously, Naruto and Sasuke would fight a lot and they duke it out, and they'd always try to outshow each other and stuff like that. But ultimately, Naruto would actually be the more prodigious one in nature out of the both of them, because remember, Sasuke was only so much better than Naruto in the original story because of the fact that this dude had training from Itachi, training from Fugaku, and he didn't have a nine-tailed beast inside of him that was hindering every single thing that he did, and was lonely and had no help. So yeah, Sasuke definitely had a lot of help, but once Naruto ended up having his own help, things quickly flipped on its head. So I can see Naruto being the stronger of the two in this timeline. And with that being the case, I can see Naruto and Sasuke's rivalry growing more and more as they get older, with Sasuke ultimately still being the more popular of the two, just due to the fact that A, he's an actual Uchiha and people make fun of him for being a fake Uchiha. They would also avoid him for simply having the nine tails, which in this specific timeline of events, Naruto's not exactly going to have that information hidden from him. Fugaku would make it very obvious that he thinks that Naruto having the nine-tailed Jinchuriki is a huge thing, and he even is proud of him for it, calling him his secret weapon, like blatantly out in the open. Naruto would always wonder what the heck that's about, but it's not like he's gonna go around being like, yeah, I'm Fugaku's secret weapon, you know what I mean? That's just not gonna happen. Anyways, as time would pass by, things would start rising, conflict in the village, and eventually we would get the section where the coup d'etat is set to happen. And so Shisui dies, and Itachi is ultimately forced to make his decision to kill the clan. On this specific day, I can see both Naruto and Sasuke essentially having like a dispute in the classroom, where they both get matched up against each other, and they're essentially having to do the little combat in the classroom. And we can pretty much get a scene in which Naruto beats Sasuke, and after the match, Naruto goes up to Sasuke and says, good match, you know? And then you just get Sasuke looking at Naruto angrily, you know, just being like, I'm supposed to be the stronger of the two, you know? Because he's starting to get jealous of Naruto at this point. But Ultimately, he ends up like slapping Naruto's hand out of his face and just being like, whatever. He walks off, and I could see Sasuke going off to train somewhere in seclusion, and Naruto seeing that Sasuke did that would just not feel good at all. So Naruto would go off to train by himself and ultimately go off and get some ramen, and it would already be late at night. Naruto at this point would have his hands in his hoodie pocket walking through the village, and he'd be getting his usual bad stares from everybody. Naruto had ultimately gotten accustomed to this, but he doesn't care, knowing that when he makes it to the Uchiha compound, no one gives him those stares. Plus, Teuchi never gives him those either, so he would go to his favorite ramen store, grab a meal before finally heading home. And since Naruto was doing this and Sasuke would be training, after Sasuke's training would finally be over, Sasuke would make his way back to the village only to find out that the smell of blood was reeking from every single corner of the village. And Sasuke, realizing this, would quickly rush towards his house only to find out that Itachi had killed both of his parents and ultimately would be placed under Tsukiyomi by Itachi. At this point, Naruto would finish up his ramen stuff and he would pretty much make his way home, and Itachi would have already left the village. So Naruto would end up walking into a room where he would see his brother unconscious, thinking that he's dead considering every single other person is dead. He goes to his parents, shaking them, asking why, who could have done this. He didn't even see Itachi, so that hate in his heart is just not there. And Naruto, seeing both of his parents dead, blood all over the place, Sasuke unconscious, and no matter how hard he shook him, Sasuke just seemed lifeless. Naruto would start breaking down, crying like crazy. The tears would not stop. And as Naruto was having this happen and his whole world is just breaking around him, Naruto would see the only thing near him, and the only thing he wanted to do was to just close his eyes and act like this wasn't real, act like this wasn't happening. So Naruto would grab a blade that was very close to him, and he would end up blinding himself by cutting his own eyes. After this would happen, Naruto would go unconscious from the blood loss of his corneas being absolutely destroyed, and the village literally has no choice but to just take out the already wrecked eyes of Naruto. So now, Naruto was officially blind, and there was no way Naruto was ever gonna be seeing again. After this would take place, a couple of things would be very clear to Sasuke. A, his brother was a coward, and B, his brother was never gonna become a ninja. All their battles, all their experiences that they had together, all the times that Naruto had claimed he was gonna grow up to become the Hokage, that was all a load of, well, you know the word. Sasuke at this point would feel so much anger at his brother, but he also would sort of understand. He knows that now that Naruto's blind, there's literally no way that he was ever gonna become a ninja now. And Naruto would realize this as well. So he would completely be taken out of the academy by Hiruzen, who would think that the smartest thing to do is not to give Naruto false hopes. And so, years would pretty much pass with Naruto essentially having to learn how to grow up blind. He needs to relearn how to live everyday life with these new limitations. But what's super interesting about this is that while Naruto would be going through these things, something incredible would happen. Naruto's sensory abilities would surpass anything that anyone could ever expect. After a couple of years would pass, Naruto would start learning Haki, observation Haki, unknowingly, but he would end up learning Haki, to the point where Naruto's abilities allowed him to pretty much do everyday life as if he was a normal person. There was just a couple of things that Naruto couldn't do, like read, because no matter how much Haki you have, you can't exactly read tiny little letters. Gambling, obviously that was one of Fujitoras' limitations. He can't fully tell if someone's being honest when it comes to stuff like that, and other things. I can't exactly point them out, but there's a lot of things that Naruto's limited to. But combat and going to the bathroom or getting water or going on a walk, stuff like that is most definitely not out of the realm of possibility. That said, we're now going to jump to a random day where Naruto decided that because he was bored and Sasuke was off in the academy learning how to become a ninja, he decided that he was going to go off on a little bit of a walk. And on this particular day, Naruto kind of forgot to eat breakfast. So he would make his way out to the forest and walk around, and after a couple of hours would pass of Naruto literally just peacefully walking around, bothering nobody, Naruto would hear his stomach grumble like it never has before, as Naruto realizing that he's extremely hungry and being able to kind of sense the shape of a fruit nearby, Naruto would make its way towards this weird looking fruit, and wouldn't you know it, Naruto instantly bites into it, thinking that, yeah, it must be a fruit. You know, he holds it in his hand, he feels it out, he's like, oh, here's the stem, this must be the skin of the fruit. He thinks whether he's able to just eat it like that or he has to peel it, but he's so hungry he doesn't care. Naruto takes a huge bite out of this fruit, and the second that he does, this thing would be the most putrid and sour thing that he's ever had the displeasure of placing in his mouth. But shortly after this happens, and Naruto's over there freaking out, wiping his tongue, trying to get the taste out of his mouth, Naruto would realize that things around him would start floating. And an interesting thing to note is that Naruto feels different, entirely different. It's as though a different element has been introduced to his life entirely. And Naruto, in this moment, not being able to see it, would just know that something has changed. Naruto would start feeling objects floating around himself, and he would realize that he's just unlocked some strange power, and Naruto has no clue whether it's thanks to the devil fruit or thanks to maybe a jutsu that Naruto unknowingly tapped into. That said though, Naruto, feeling an extreme amount of excitement wanting to share this with someone, would quickly run home, and the villagers all would be staring at him, giving him dirty looks, but mind you, Naruto is blind, so he can't exactly tell. So that's kind of a good thing for Naruto, because now he doesn't feel bad when he walks around places. People, instead of also looking at him with disdain of like, ugh, the nine-tailed fox, some people even give him looks of like, oh, I feel so bad for him, and Naruto probably would not have liked that. But thanks to the fact that he's blind, which is kind of a weird thing to say, he doesn't have to deal with that. Anyways, point is, Naruto would arrive to the training grounds where Sasuke's always at, and Naruto would say, Sasuke, look, I have this new power. Sasuke would just be like, go away, Naruto, I'm training. As Naruto would say, no, really, look, I unlocked this new jutsu. I don't know what it is, but it's super cool. It's like gravity powers. Sasuke, hearing this, would say, shut up, Naruto. Can't you see that I'm training, trying to defeat Itachi? Why don't you go off on some leisurely walk again? As Naruto, hearing this, would just like, he just feels bad. All his excitement, all his energy just instantly got deflated. And Naruto feels bad, but he understands Sasuke. After Naruto blinded himself, Sasuke was responsible of taking care of Naruto. A child was responsible of taking care of his other brother, who decided he wanted to blind himself and pretty much become a liability for him. He held him back from a couple of months of training because he had to be there by Naruto's side, helping him out whenever he needed to go to the bathroom, whenever he needed to take a shower, whenever he needed food because he couldn't cook anymore. Everything, Sasuke had to be there helping Naruto. And so, Naruto just sadly goes to the forest, deciding that, you know, he has nothing better to do, so he might as well fiddle around with these new abilities of his. That said, Naruto, through training over the next couple of weeks, would end up realizing that this power is a lot more overpowered than he had even gave it credit for, because Naruto has had nothing to do. This man has pretty much dedicated himself to like walks and like just sitting outside of nature and just like hearing things and building obstacle courses, which he pretty much uses to train himself to like get better at moving around, which is something he would do during his earlier times, trying not to be much of a burden for Sasuke. So things like that would definitely end up changing Naruto for the better and get his Haki observation levels to go way up to the roof. Mind you, he is definitely going to be learning armament Haki later on in the story. I'm not entirely positive if we're going to be giving him Conqueror's Haki, because we don't know if Fujitora has that. At least I don't. I haven't read the manga. But comment down below if he does, and I'll take your word for it. That said, what pretty much ends up taking place over the next couple of weeks that Naruto trains with this, new ability that he got, Sasuke during this entire time would pretty much go on to live his own life, going on to become a genin, pass the bell test, and even form a team with Sakura, Kakashi, and Kaito. Original character that the chat actually ended up helping me come up with, because while I'm recording this video, I'm actually live streaming and they're seeing how I do the whole process, so that's kind of cool. If you missed the stream, then it's going to be public in case you want to go back and watch it. But yeah, that said, Sasuke would end up actually also going on the Land of the Waves mission, which would be really interesting because remember, the only reason that they ended up making it through that section was thanks to Naruto defeating Haku, because in the original timeline, there was no way that Sasuke was going to be Haku, and without Naruto going into the Nine Tails power that he ended up activating, Naruto and Sasuke most likely would have died, if not gotten so injured that they weren't going to be able to help Kakashi. Kakashi was most likely going to die, and then Tazuna was going to get killed. So without Naruto here, there has to be some way for them to end up making it out of here alive, or Naruto's going to be a blind dude who lost his only brother, which would be very, very tragic. Like, we could go down that route, but you know, I kind of like Sasuke. Anywho's, we're going to jump into how they survive. Now, like in the original, Sasuke and Kaito end up coming with a way to free Kakashi from the water prison, so that's how they survived that encounter. But as for their battle against Haku, once the Ice Crystal Mirror get busted out, I don't see a lot of ways for them to survive this encounter other than Kaito and Sasuke doing their absolute best to like try to fend him off. But ultimately, even though Sasuke ends up awakening his Sharingan and doing his absolute best to face Haku and, you know, try to dodge and help Kaito survive as well, because him and Kaito are not like friends. Well, they're not friends, like they won't admit it, but they are, right? Sasuke has become close to Kaito, and Kaito kind of reminds Sasuke of Naruto just a little bit before he became such a pansy. That said, as they're fighting, the battle would get worse and worse and worse until eventually Haku, deciding that he has to go help Zabuza, would take things seriously as he would begin taking things up a notch and zooming through from mirror to mirror, as he would throw so many Senbon at Sasuke that you could just see him visibly start to waver and get weaker and weaker by the second. Eventually Haku decides that he needs to take him out because he's the only one that has even a potential to hang with him. That said, Haku would throw a multitude of Senbon at the direction of Sasuke, and Kaito, seeing this, would push Sasuke out of the way as he would tank every single Senbon needle all by himself. He would then fall to the ground, and unlike Sasuke, Kaito would die. Sasuke, seeing Kaito die right in front of his eyes, would be livid. He realizes that this kid, who he was refusing to admit was even his friend, was willing to sacrifice himself just so that he could survive. He was so weak. Once again, he couldn't even kill this ninja that was standing in front of him. And all of these emotions would end up bubbling up to the surface, leading Sasuke to do something that is very, very strange that I don't think I've ever done in another What If, but he would awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan. Now, I know it's a bit of a stretch, but stay with me now. After Sasuke would awaken this ability, he would end up using it to defeat Haku and ultimately pass out from chakra exertion right after that. With that being said, Haku never jumps in the way of the Chidori that Kakashi ends up using on Zabuza, so Zabuza actually dies in that moment, and then we get a scene of Kakashi using his shadow clones alongside the villagers arriving to pretty much scare Gato and his men away. After this ends up happening, they return to the village, and safe to say, Sasuke is not in a good mood. His teammate just died in front of his eyes, and yeah, he might have awakened this power that he didn't know he had access to, but Sasuke is now left there feeling survivor's guilt, realizing that he shouldn't have been the one to survive and it should have been Kaito. He leaped in the way and had to save him. Sasuke's not feeling good, and we just pretty much get a scene of Kakashi telling Sasuke if he wants to talk, he's there, but Sasuke just walks off in silence, just feeling rage, sadness. He doesn't even know how to describe it. He would arrive home, and Naruto, realizing that Sasuke's clearly in a sour mood, would ask how things went, as Sasuke would say, "I don't want to talk about it." He would walk to his room, and Naruto would follow with a smile, trying to raise his spirits, but Sasuke would just go off on him, telling him, "Damn it, Naruto! Don't you understand that I don't want to talk about it? Clearly something happened to me, and while you get to live here, leisurely acting like a kind of hermit, I'm out there training every day to get strong enough to kill Itachi. That damn bastard killed our parents, Naruto, and you haven't lifted a finger to help me. What happened to you? What happened to the Naruto who trained with me every day and would show off the fact that he was stronger, who would gloat in my face? Naruto, you might as well have died that night." And he would slam the door in Naruto's face as Naruto would just be left standing there, as he would just sit there in silence. And Naruto can't cry, but if he could, 100% teardrops would have started falling from his eyes in that moment. That said, Naruto would understand how selfish he has been, and he's known that this has been the case for so long. His brother just lost his teammate, and if Naruto was out there, Sasuke never would have had to go through that. Naruto would feel so much guilt at the fact that Sasuke's in this situation and it's all his fault, or so he would look at things in that lens. He would decide that he's done. He's done being a pacifist and he's gonna do something about it. So in this moment, Naruto would take his blade that he used to use back in the day that he would have ended up taking because of the fact that he looked up to Shisui. This would pretty much lead Naruto to walking into Hiruzen's office, as he would tell Hiruzen that he wants to be placed on Team 7 as a replacement for Kaito. Hiruzen hearing this would tell Naruto that that's going to be impossible. Not only is he blind, but he didn't even attend the academy and he's not a genin. So Hiruzen would take a quick hit of his pipe as he would stare at Naruto and tell him that a blind ninja just isn't fit to be a shinobi. Naruto hearing this would stare back at Hiruzen as he would tell him he's not just a blind shinobi. Suddenly, a bunch of objects in the room begin to float, and Hiruzen would be stunned at the fact that Naruto has these abilities, as Hiruzen would crack a smile and think, interesting. But ladies and gentlemen, that's where I'm going to be ending today's video off. Let me know if you guys like the story, like the direction that I'm going in with this, and let me know what ideas you guys have for Naruto's attacks, how the story should play out in the future. Oh, and leave a like, because honestly, this is one of those videos that I'm just not sure how it will perform. If it does really bad, this might end up being the only part that I ever drop to this series, but if it performs very well, then you can bet that I'm going to be dropping multiple parts of this series, most likely a 3 to 4 parter. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it has been your boy Xehther, and I am out. Peace.